G'day, g'day, g'day. Mathematical KM. Remember their initials, not a title. Keith Molumby. This is round 2 of my local chess club's championship for the year. 11 rounds, 60 minutes plus 30 seconds. I had the black pieces. You can see it was quite the arm wrestle. And we'll take a closer look. To start with, my FIDE 1465. My opponent, 1523, so he's 63 up, but also birth year 2014, so quite the talented young man. Okay, let's come to the game. And it's a bit of a side issue, but I think we were something like 25 moves in before any pawns died, and there's something like 18 points of material already off the board. Question. Anybody knows? What's the greatest amount of material to be captured off the board in a game of chess prior to any of the 16 pawns being captured? I don't know the answer. Okay, so let's change over and take a look at the game. The young man's a bit of a fan of and subscribed to my channel, he tells me. So that's a bit of a worry. He knows what he's up against. So, he's claimed the middle. I've got the fianchetto. He's just going for a standard 2-pawn centre, developing the knights and the bishops. And I've got the hippopotamus pawns, haven't got both knights, haven't got one bishop developed yet. He's castled queenside, which is interesting. Fianchetto. And prior to the knights coming in, he's pushed with the e-pawn. And hindsight here, I think I played relatively well in this game, but I can see that the d-pawn push and locking up the middle is actually, I believe that's what I played. But knight times f3, take the knight, bishop, take the knight with the bishop and double his pawns. Interesting choice. But knight e7 and let him take me or bring his other one forward, I mean, that's really playing chicken. That's a choice I'll take a harder look at after this video. Because just letting that e-pawn sit there, keeping the tension, or take my d-pawn because I've brought the knight in. And if he takes it because I've brought the knight in, what am I doing? Coming out with the queen? Rapid development, but yeah, I want to see what the computer was thinking about there. It got the question mark, but it's more of a standard sort of a hippo move. We've locked the middle up. And we'll see how we go. He's brought his knights to the middle. He's playing good first principles chess, as every 11-year-old does. There we go. Okay, now I've brought the knight not to the usual d7, but I'm thinking about b4 and potentially harassing, if not capturing, that bishop. He's moved his queen, and that got the question mark because it's changed from harassing the bishop to that bishop can't go here, here, or here. It's not winning it, but I can remove the bishop with the knight, and that, the queen and the bishop lining up no more. And it is the recommended move, and it's bringing the game back to even. Great move, in fact. And the suggestion for him is rook to h1. He must have been thinking it's not in there, but along similar lines. Well, not really. He's making my knight pull the trigger, which takes on point 2. So that was always the destiny of that knight. I was going to leave it while the bishop couldn't escape until I was forced to make it. but he forced me to make that move there and then. He's taken with the rook. And very skillful 11-year-old, but I am hoping for the old watch the pawn move and don't notice the bishop can pin the rook and the queen, and if I get the pin in, at that point in time it will be too late to block with the knight. And it's a solid advantage, slight advantage to black at this point. But if he blocks with the knight now, which he's done, the bishop move to a6 is still the best move, and we're up to -1 for our advantage. Let's pin the knight to the rook and the queen. I was kind of expecting the suggested best move would be protecting the knight with the pawn, but not the move he played. I mean, I can see how that gives him, it's questionable, but he's got 2 pieces aimed at my c-pawn. I've currently only got the queen. And I could have gone up because I would still have that knight's pinned to the queen now. And which makes it a little hard to use. It wouldn't work if I was to take that c-pawn or the rook if it took it with the queen. That wouldn't work. But I need another piece protecting that c-pawn. And the computer suggestion is just brilliant. It's the king does have a rusty old sword of his own. Go king. And that king, if it moves to d7, a couple of things. Number 1, the knight can't move and give check, which is good because that comes into certain combos and things, tactics. And 2, I've got the king and the queen defending that c-pawn. And because it doesn't come with check, if he uses the knight, then sure, the knight, wouldn't be checking me, and the knight would be threatening my rook, but if he comes in with the knight, with my king there, I'd probably just take his queen straight off the board. And then he might take the rook, and I would be pretty happy getting a queen and a knight for... Is it as simple as a pawn and a rook? It would be a good deal. He wouldn't be able... That king to d7... That's, as I gain experience with this waterhorse defence and little frequent tactics, this one looks like one that's worth storing in the old memory bank, versing this 11-year-old young memory banks. But yeah... The other thing that you could do would be, so king d7 was best, king to f8 is giving up the pawn. The rook could take it. Not good. But bringing it back almost to even is just to remove one of the pieces. Bit of a blunder. It's a blunder because I could have got more. Bit of a shame. But swapping the knight for the bishop. So I should have evaluated this one a little harder. Anyway, we'll put that in the logbook. So we take, his queens come in, block with the queen. Best move for him is keeping the ladies on, but maintaining the slight edge for black. We're now in the technical endgame. This is almost the point. How much material? Because we've still got all 16 pawns and the queens have come off. We've got 2 minor pieces and the queen. 3, 6, 15. And my young opponent has also lost 15. We have lost 30 points of material between us, and there's still 16 pawns. I do wonder what the record in a tournament chess would be. Anyway, to continue. He's rerouted his knight, and at this point in time, I'm thinking very hard and wanting to win his d-pawn. It's only protected by the bishop. I'm wanting to play c5. Currently, he has 1, 2, 3. And I've got 1 protecting piece. And I could get 2 if I move the bishop there. And I could get 3 if I move that rook there. Fight for there. And this is where the planning wasn't too bad on my part, but I've gone slightly wrong, and I could have, again, had my chances here, and we'll see. Because realising that that bishop's part of the deal, if I can get this, develop this undeveloped knight, which connects my rooks, and it's just good from that point of view, but I can either capture that bishop, thus making, and then only have the 2 pieces on it, and I've already got 1, and I'll just need 1 more, not 2 more, and I'll get to play my c-pawn push. So what actually happens with my thinking? Start developing that knight. Still got 0.3 advantage to black, so the computer doesn't hate my plan. He's coming with his Harry. Okay, here we go. Bishop needs to... Well, I could take that bishop now. Computer likes the bishop to f8, setting up on that square. Or, and this is brand new plan, g5. He's got 2 pieces on that. I've only got the 1. But if he takes me, I take him. I do get the file, and I can try and get my rook in there. Interesting plan, and obviously better plan. But bishop f8 is the plan I've been working on. And apparently I should be doing it now. But let's see. I've gone a different piece. Now I will have the pawn and the rook on there. And depending on what happens, I should play my c-pawn push next. He's still got 1, 2, 3. I will have 1, 2. But I can make it 2 versus 2, so he hasn't got enough if I take the bishop now. So really, I should be taking that bishop off the board and then playing my c-pawn push. So move out of time. It's called an error because I already had... I don't need that many. Losing a bit of a tempo there. That was a bit of a mistake. Okay, computer wants me to keep the knight, but the third best is let's get rid of that bishop. And it was in the earlier ones when it was time, but the c-pawn push isn't there. What have we got? Bishop e7, which does threaten that pawn, and it reconnects my rook, so I like that. Bishop to g7. It's not really threatening anything there, but it's the importance of connecting the rooks, especially with this. I really should have been focusing more on this f-file. That may have ended up being the undoing. Anyway, let's keep cracking. So I've played the pawn push that I've been trying to make sure I could get in for some time. He just takes the open file. I've got no pieces protecting the f-pawn, so I can't totally ignore it. Computer likes a4. Not even really sure why. Or rook to h7, which gets me a rook protecting it. Or bishop e7, which stops that from being a check, but it doesn't let me take that one. Really don't like that. The way I was looking at it, I had to... Right, so the rook can't take my f-pawn. Okay, so he's come in with the b-pawn. I was thinking, I can get an open file that might help us. I don't really like how he's got two pawns on there. Let's take with the a-pawn, which is the second best move. Bishop e7 is still currently the best, which does threaten that pawn over there. And I would have pawn, bishop, two pieces, and rook, three pieces protecting, and he's got three attacking, so it could have been okay. But take. Now it's still three attacking, three defending. I thought, let's push the pawn forward. He takes. Let's line up the rook and the knight. And I did know that he could move away, but I was kind of thinking, if I do want to take, because knights can be tricky in these lots of pawn endgames, if I want to swap off the bishop for the knight, I can do that now, and it comes with check, which then gives me a move, one move to get a second piece defending the f-pawn. The best move that puts me slightly in advantage would be to protect that f-pawn right now and keep my bishop. Interesting. Or to h7 takes it to dead even, which also is giving me the second piece on that pawn. What I did do was questionable, getting those pieces off, and now it's 2.1 to white. So that was the beginning of the downfall, you might say. But let's take a look. We'll go a little bit further. Two pieces protecting the pawn. I'm just that little bit discombobulated here. So yeah, that's nice. Now that it's come forward though, yeah, I can see that. Pawn two steps, he takes, I take. I do go down a pawn, and then I swap off a pair of rooks. Then it's a matter of trying to get that one across. Not having my rooks joined is really the pain that lost the game for me in a way here. That was called great. Gives me two rooks and the king on it. Okay, now I wish I'd thought that a little bit harder, and it actually gives me the edge. I was thinking there's no en passant now, and if I come here, he takes me, I take him, he takes me, I go down a pawn, but it gets rid of his g-pawn. Just one forward is much better, because if he then brought a second one across, would I be better off then pushing the pawn? And I could threaten that one. It was interesting. An endgame. I think the hippo got me out of the opening quite well, and as we've seen, I had a few chances. But no big chances, but chances of getting a nice edge. But it's come into a pretty even endgame, and this young man is quite skilled. That was called okay, but he takes, I take with the rook, so that if he takes me, I take him. So I've still got the big advantage in pawns now, but my position's not as good, so that's why the eval is on naught. Beautiful move. And right here, this is another one I'll have a look at later, where king e7. I know I've got to threaten his pawn, so if he takes one of mine, I take his. The king's better at it than the rook, because if I move here, he takes one, I take the other, my other pawn is then protected by the king. There you go. Had my chances, but not as good. He takes one, I take the other, and the rook doesn't protect the other one. And so instead of being dead flat, it's starting to slip to white. Threatening two pawns. Got a passed pawn, but it's a long way from home. And there aren't any ways I can threaten that B pawn. Protect my B pawn. And I'm just vaguely aware that it's a good idea to get a rook behind your passed pawn and to try and advance down the board. But it's plus 1.2. And we both had heaps of time on the clock. Here, h2 gives my pawn a lot of squares that can come forward. And it's threatening his c pawn, so if his king were to take my c pawn, I would take his c pawn with check. Much better move. It's still plus 1.3 to white if I play that, but questionable, and it jumps to 4.3 to white. 4.3 to white at this stage is pretty much, it's all over. Plus 5, it's just... And I think with the king, with the joined double pass pawns, and my rook can't leave where it is, or my only hope. Right, shook the hand of my opponent, and quite the game. Let's have a look at the review. 81 to 78, so we were very close in terms of the accuracy. Both had two great moves, both had 14 bests. 4 and 6, I had a couple more excellent. I mean, what do these things mean? But nobody had blunders. We've seen a couple of the misses where I really could have... They were solid misses where I could have got a good plus 1.5, plus 2 accuracy in that middle game. 2100 to 1950, well... That's giving us both credit, but 95, 92 for the opening, 81, 79.9. Very, very well matched. I had a couple of opportunities that the next time something like that comes up, hopefully I'll grab. That's why this is the year of the hippo. It's a learning year. But in the end game, I salute. I salute Arav. Well done. 70 to... well, better than 74. Nailed me in that end game. And I will see you guys next time.